So, hello and welcome. I'm going to wait for some people to join. Hey, EJ, how are you doing? Kentrell and Rich. Hope things are going well. Let me know if you can hear me. If you can, just say hello, wave. Let me know if you can hear me pretty clearly. CJ, how's it going? I'll wait for a couple more. I'll wait for one more minute before we get started. But if you are logging on, it's okay. Say hello. Let me know that you're here. EJ, yes, I'm trying to stay cool as well. It's pretty hot outside, but I'm under these hot lights. And Unique, how you doing? So if you have joined, I'm going to ask that you can share this to your Facebook page. I'm not going to be on here too long. I got to cook dinner. So hop on here. We're going to I'm going to tell you a little bit about Better Way to Meet and answer any dating coaching questions that you might have. So if you would like, you can type those dating questions in the text box and I'll write them down, and throughout our conversation today, I'll try to answer them and we can have a good discussion. Hey Dino, how you doing? Travis, thanks for joining. Make sure you like this if you're watching this, or you should share it in a group that you have. Thanks for joining. Terrence, make sure you like this, share this in one of your groups, or share it with one of your friends. All right, so I'm going to get started, and we'll probably be on it for maybe about 15, 20 minutes or so. It depends on how interactive folks are. I actually haven't done one of these videos in a while, so I thought I would try to get back on and do one. Let me make sure our volume is doing okay first. There we go. We're good. We're good. I see people are chiming in. Good, good, good. All right. So today is really just a Q&A session that I want to have with anyone who's watching right now. I did a post earlier today asking people to tell me what they want to talk about, and I told them that I would respond something, and I have a little list of them here. Some of them I have to reword so that I can actually talk about them on air. Some people sent me private messages because they did not want to post them online. You know who you are, that person. Great. So, hey Matthew, thanks for joining. And Leroy, I got your question. I had to reword it a little bit because it might be a little too X-rated for me to talk about on here. But we're definitely going to get to your question that you posed. Good. All right, so before I get to some of the Q&As, which you can post throughout, some of my introduction so that I can take notes and get to them when it's time. First, again, my name is Lamont Scales. I'm the owner of Better Way to Meet, which is a matchmaking and dating coaching service here in Atlanta. And we provide dating coaching for services for anyone who lives anywhere. We do those through video conferences. But I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the 3 services that we offer at Better Way to Meet. Our number 1 service that we do offer, which I said a little bit about earlier, is dating coaching. dating coaching is really a new service that we have offered within the last 12 months. And our guys and even some of the ladies have signed up for dating coaching sessions with me. And those are just like really intimate conversations that I have with folks, really about what's working well in your relationships, particularly about your dating, if you're dating lifestyle. What's working well? What are some of the challenges you're facing trying to meet new guys or even trying to sustain a relationship? We talk about that. And we really get into the nitty gritty about everything that's going on in your dating lifestyle. And then what we do is we set up a tangible plan for what we can do so that you have a different experience. So our dating coaching is not just you venting to me. It's more so of us brainstorming on how do we make sure you have a different experience? How do we make sure that people see you differently? How do we make sure that you meet new people? And if that means changing your social media profiles, we do that. If that means cutting your hair off, I give you that type of feedback. If that means me saying, hey, why don't you ask them and your friends while you're still single, get some feedback, and then we kind of mull over that, we do that. We really, our dating coaching sessions are not generic. There's no templates. They're very individualized. I meet with guys and women either face-to-face, or if you live in a different state, we'll do a video conference where we'll spend about 45 minutes. We'll do two 45-minute sessions brainstorming over ways that we can make sure that you have a different experience and improve your dating life. And that's only $75. Yes, $75 for dating coaching. If you go to a therapist, they are going to charge you $125 for a 45-minute session. Yes, that is right. And I'm only charging you $75 for two 45-minute sessions. How could you beat that? Hey, Dawn, thanks for joining. Hope things are going well. So that's one of our main services is our dating coaching sessions. And you can sign up right here at Better Way to Meet to learn more about that. Our second service that we do offer, which I think is one of the best things me and my old business partner came up with, is matchmaking for gay men here in Atlanta. So we just do matchmaking for guys who live here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you live in Texas, Pennsylvania, we are not there yet. Soon, but not yet. But if you live here in Atlanta, we do old-fashioned matchmaking, where that means I meet with guys face-to-face, and you tell me who you are, what you're looking for. We spend about 30 minutes really getting to know each other. And we can do that in person or we can do that in a video conference. Either way is fine. But we spend about 30 minutes really going over who you are and what you're looking for in a relationship. And then I'll go into my database, which I have a little over 500 guys who are actively using the service, and I will pick a guy for you. So you don't get to scroll through pictures. You don't get to, it's not like an online dating service. Like, I won't say any names, but you know some of those. It's not like, what is it? It's not Adam for Adam. It's not Jacked. It's not Tumblr where you get to swipe left or right. I actually pick the guy for you. And then what I'll do is I'll send you a picture of him. And I'll say, hey, Mike, I want to send you on a date with John. He's from here. This is what he does for a living. And here are some reasons why I think the two of you are compatible. I'll attach a few pictures. And then you get to say, yes, you want to go on a date with him. Or you might say, no, Lamont, I want someone who's older, younger. And whatever that can be is we'll just kind of keep tweaking that until we find a good match for you. Once we find a good match for you, I'll actually set the date up for you. And I pick really fun, cool dates for you to go on. If you should ask guys who have gone on our dates. I pick the best dates in the world. We might send you bike riding, axe throwing, rock climbing, to a painting class, to a rooftop area to party. We do really fun dates for guys. So if you're interested in being matched with someone, definitely check out our matchmaking service at betterwaytomeet.com. Our third service that we do offer is speed dating. And many guys have gone to our speed dating events here in Atlanta, which I think are just really phenomenal. They're free, which most people really appreciate because it's a great way for guys to come out and meet each other in a creative atmosphere. Our speed dating events are actually not traditional speed dating events. We always try to find like a cute little interactive activity for guys to kind of meet each other. So they're more like mixers instead of speed dating events. I call them speed dating events because that's what is most recognizable when people think about like what's going to happen, but we put a different spin on it. We did have a trivia night over at Joe's on Juniper. Thanks to Joe's on Juniper, to Tom, the general manager, for allowing us to come in there and set up a trivia event. We had a little over 35 guys last month show up. So if you were not there, you missed a great night where we were able to hang out and just play some games and while just kind of meeting people in a relaxed atmosphere. So those are our 3 services we offer: speed dating, matchmaking services, and dating coaching. So if you're interested in any of those, I would highly recommend that you go to betterwaytomeet.com. All right? If you have any questions about our services, you can go ahead and type those in, or you can go to our website. So let's get to some of the interesting topics people have inboxed me and sent me messages saying they want to talk about. All right? So the first topic was, which one do I want to go with? So this person had to reword their question, but they really want to know, how do you deal with guys who lie? So if you are just meeting someone, you're dating him, or you're in a relationship with him, and you just notice that he's not telling the truth, like, what do you actually do with that, right? So I'm going to type that here. That way everyone can see our first topic. Guys who lie. Guys, let's say guys who are liars. All right. So the question is, how do you deal with guys who are liars? So when I think about this, there are a couple reasons why guys lie. And ladies, so this is not exclusive to why men lie, because there are some women out there who lie as well. If you agree with me, make sure you like and share this. So there are just some people who are just used to not telling the truth. And that could be because they may want to use you. They're playing a game with you. So you have to really be able to discern if this person, why are they lying to you? Someone said they're dealing with that now. Yes, Dawn. So here's the reasons why some people don't lie to you. Sometimes guys don't think you can handle the truth, or women don't think you can handle the truth. They feel like if they give you the truth, you may think bad of them, right? So if someone lies about their job, what type of job they have, or how much money they make, or if they have children, or if they have a criminal background, or if they have a habit or a vice that they think that you might not like, they feel like you can't handle the truth. So they will, they'll lie about it. So you're like, okay, well, I can't control that you have these different things going on. One thing you can do is, if you really are interested in someone and you want them to tell you the truth, what you can do is set the environment that is non-judgmental. Set up the conversation or your approach that the person can feel comfortable sharing that truth with you. So someone may not want to tell you, let me think of an example, that they have a criminal background. Let's say that. Let's say if someone might not want to tell you that they have a criminal background, whatever the charges or history was, what you could do is set the environment where you might say, oh, I dated some guy in the past who went to jail, and I thought he was great. Leave it at that and move on. that sets the environment for the person to mull over that and say, okay, so he dated someone who had the same issue as me, and he liked the guy. So maybe I might be more forthcoming with the information. Most people feel like they can't tell you the truth is because they feel like you're going to judge them, or if they tell you the truth, you're going to end the relationship. So there are some people who have deal breakers, and they may, like a deal breaker in a relationship might be wanting children. And that is a big thing for a lot of people, where they get into relationships and they might say, I want to be in a relationship so that I can get married and then ultimately have children. There are other guys who are like, I want to get in a relationship, get married, and have 2 dogs, right? But if they meet someone initially and they're saying, I want to have children, they might say, okay, yeah, I want to have children too. So they lied to you because they don't want to have children. Because they really want to be with you, and so they'll lie to you. And then the issue with that is, after you all get into the relationship for a while, maybe even get married, then the question comes up, oh, so are we going to adopt? Are we going to do surrogacy? Are we going to go the old-fashioned route? And now you're stuck because you don't want children if you lied years ago saying you do, and you're in this relationship. So it's really hard to really force someone to tell the truth. The best thing that you can do is set the environment where someone feels comfortable to share the truth with you. There are some people who are just going to lie to you, though. But really setting the environment will help that. I see Dawn say he's going to try that. Let me know how that works out for you. Again, I'm taking questions about relationships or dating. If you have questions or topics you want to talk about, please post them. I have a couple that people have shared with me, and we're just going through that. Thanks for joining, Anthony. All right, so our next topic, we got rid of the liars. That person who asked me that question, I hope I've answered that question. If not, go ahead and challenge me or see if you have any other tips. The next one was about prenups. Ooh, prenuptial agreements. So do you get a prenuptial agreement or do you not? Let's see. Second topic. Prenups. So, I got take. Before we get to prenups, Leroy is asking, how long does it take to set the environment? Good question. I think when you're trying to set the environment when you're dating someone, you want to do that early on. Because people are always going to show you, when you first meet them, the best side of them. No matter what. They're giving you their polite side, everything they like about themselves. They're not telling you things that are negative. So while it's good, the environment is, that lovey-dovey environment, you want to just start to drop little seeds of being non-judgmental. So you should not be talking negatively about certain types of people because you don't know what type of person who you're in front of initially. So if you say, well, you know what? I don't like guys who, I'm trying to think of something, that we have our judgments. Like you said, I don't like guys who have criminal backgrounds, right? Oh, no, it's a good one. I don't like guys who have cheated on their ex-boyfriends. That may be true, and we all don't like that, right? But that's not something you want to put out there in the beginning, because if you want the person you're dating to be truthful about their dating past, then you don't want to put that negative environment out there. What you would want to say is, I really like guys who are honest, who feel comfortable sharing things that might be challenging to discuss. That's the environment that you want to set early on. It's about reframing things. You don't want to give a long list of things that you don't like. Rather, set the environment where you're saying, these are things I like to see in a partner, even if they're uncomfortable topics to talk about. That's my advice for you. Hope I cleared that up for you, Leroy. All right. John, thanks for joining. Mark, thanks for joining. And Keith, hello. And Johnny. So our second topic we're going to go to, and again, if you've just joined us, you can type in any topic you would like, and we will talk about them throughout this conversation. Some people have sent me messages earlier where I'm just going to go through them and talk about the different topics. So we already talked about how do you deal with liars. We really talked about that. If you've missed it, go back and play this again, and you'll hear some of that. The second topic is about prenuptial agreements. So if any of my married folks who are watching this, please chime in now. Prenups. So what are your thoughts about prenups? Are these things that couples should actually consider before getting in a marriage? Or should they just ignore those? What are your thoughts? So let's be honest. Most people who do prenuptial agreements, these are folks who either have large sums of money and assets currently, or they know they will in the future. Like they have some tangible evidence or some plans to say, yes, I'm going to be making X amount of dollars. I plan to acquire these types of assets in the future, like in the near future. Those are the folks who are really thinking about prenuptial agreements, or people who are planning, who may think they may inherit some money. So those are types of folks who really have those conversations. For most Americans who get married, they don't think about prenuptial agreements. They're really just thinking about, hey, I'm in love. Can he or she pay the bills? And then, yes, I'll get in a relationship. I'll assume his or her debt, and we'll just move. Really, they think like that. Yes, most Americans do. So prenuptial agreements, I think they're good ideas. I really think they are good, transparent, early on conversations that it shows a healthy relationship and transparency for both partners. I don't think they're negative things. I don't think, so here's some things I hear about prenuptial agreements that people don't like about them. They say, well, you're already planning for the end of the marriage, or you really don't trust me, right? Those are things you hear when people say, oh, he or she wants a prenuptial agreement, and those are not the case. Prenuptial agreements are part of your wedding vows. You're saying, I agree to this in the relationship, and if it does not work, this is our exit plan, right? Most marriages end in the United States. About 45 to 48% of marriages end, right? That's a lot of marriages that end. So if you're one of those folks who do not want to be caught giving your pension, half your paycheck, half your assets to a partner, then a prenuptial agreement is a wise choice. Well, you might say, Lamont, what's the benefit for the person who does not make the bulk of the money in the relationship? It's your opportunity to say, this is what I'm agreeing upon if we break up. It is your voice, your time to say, hey, if we're in this relationship for X amount of years, this is what I feel like I'm entitled to in the relationship. Or, you know what? I really don't want anything. I have my own money, right? Those are times for you to have those transparent conversations about your relationship. I think you have to plan for the beginning, the middle, and the end of your relationship. Even if someone dies, you want to talk about, like, how do you want your assets split up? Do you want some of the assets to go to the children, your parents. I think those are great conversations. See, Phil saying there's nothing wrong with having paperwork just in case. I agree. RL agrees. He says early on the initiation is to be together, but numbers don't lie. I agree. Yep. Things get things get messy at the end of relationships. And the person that I won't generalize, but for the most part, the person that you divorce is not the person you married. I'll say that again. The person that you divorce is not the person you married. Right. That's why you're divorcing, because you thought you married this type of person, and then you find out the person is different. Or you both have just grown, and now you're different people. So you don't know how that person is going to handle the divorce at the end of the relationship. They may be nasty, they may be rude, or they just might be very nice and generous. You never know. So I would say prenup, think of it as a positive thing. Think of it as a tool that you and your partner can be more transparent about each other. In relationships, it's, one of the, other than commitment, transparency and honest communication really is the key to making sure a relationship lasts. So a prenup is just another one of those tools that helps both of you become very transparent and hold each other to each other's word. I hear RL saying church. Yes. James, thanks for joining. Daniel, how are you all doing? Please make sure if you are liking this, please share it in one of your discussion groups or one of your other Facebook groups so that others can hear from this. So we're just taking random questions, I am, about different relationship topics. We talked about how to deal with liars, prenups. So this next topic is about, Lord, today, why do we always have this conversation? I guess because there may not be good examples of how to do this right. So someone inboxed me, they put it on my Facebook page. They asked about like multiple relationships. Well, not multiple, like polymorphous relationships. So that is polygamy, where someone is married to multiple people, or it's a triplet or four in a relationship. Usually it's about 3 guys who are in a relationship. So what are you all thoughts about being in a relationship with more than one person where everyone knows and everyone is dating each other? So example would be 3 guys who are in a mutual committed relationship. What are your thoughts about that? What I want to hear what you all think about that. I think in 2018, being in a polygamous relationship is still taboo, right? It's still. Thanks for joining, Carlos. No, RL. I said thoughts. What are your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions about these things? What are your thoughts about being in a relationship where there are 3 guys who mutually agree to be with each other and they're committed to each other, whatever that looks like? I think, yes, in 2018, there's still taboo around those types of relationships. Guys are like, no, that's too many personalities for me to deal with. I have trouble enough dealing with one person, trusting one person, engaging one person. Adding a third person just seems overwhelming. And I would say for the most part, that is the general consensus. However, I think we don't have good examples of how those relationships work well. I think if we had more couples who are in those types of relationships who were more public with it, then we could actually see what that blueprint looks like. Like, how do they go on a date together? Where do they sleep? Who pays the bills? For Christmas or for a holiday, Whose house do we go over? If you have children, like what? How do you raise them? I think we still haven't answered a lot of those questions because we have not seen a lot of those relationships in public. I think most people who enter into those relationships, they're pretty private. James is saying he thinks that people don't want to be shamed by it. So that's why I agree. A lot of people don't want to, if they're in that type of relationship, to be very public about it. They're going to keep it private. Jason says, not my cup of tea. It's hard enough to get to fully know one person. Agreed. I think that's what a lot of people would agree with you, Jason. When you're trying to get to know one person, then you have to get to know another person. You're like, do I have the energy to do that? Some people do. If you're in that type of relationship, let me know, and you can give us some feedback. Let's see what other comments we have here. Carlos says, no thank you. The Bible says, tarry one for another, not several. But didn't King Solomon have how many wives? Like 700 and a whole bunch of concubines? I think Abraham had, a wife and a concubine. I think the Bible gives a lot of examples of polygamy. The Bible gives a lot of examples on a lot of different types of relationships, not just two monogamous relationships. So, check that out. What do you think, Carlos? Yes. Carlos has said, yeah, he's a comedian. Yes. Oh, okay. Hey, Marty, thanks for joining. I know, Carlos, I'm teasing you. He says, enough to get a penicillin shot once a week. Oh, Lord, now we've brought the STDs in there. So polygamy relationships can be challenging. I think it is. I think we as gay men, it's hard for us to have clear examples of healthy, male-to-male relationships. So bringing polygamy into it is another layer, which I don't think it's not attainable, but it's really challenging just to, be with one guy and figure out how do things work successfully. But if you can manage it, I would say Godspeed, make it happen. All right, so what else? Any other comments or things you all would like to discuss? Carlos, thanks for joining. He says, Carlos says he's tried it before, but it has to be a mutual understanding between everyone involved. Right. So I guess for us, we want to know, what are those mutual things that you all have to understand? So is it that this person's responsible for paying the bills, or we can only play with each other, we can have outside partners, we live in one house, holidays we go over whose house? What are those mutual things that you all agree on? I think that would be nice for us to see, how those types of relationships work. I think I would love to see a reality show like that, and then we can see, how they work. So Philip says, let's talk about sex. Okay, what type of sex would you like to talk about, Philip? Give us be specific, because that's so general. And we can go from there. The general things I always look at other people's lives or some of their discussion groups. And the conversation always begins and ends with about tops and bottoms. And I think we have worn that conversation out. So when you talk about sex, what are specific things you want to talk about sex when it talks about gay men or gay and bisexual men's relationships? So Carlos is taking us back to our polygamy conversation where he was saying the understanding would be is where no one is sneaking or leaving anyone out. It's clear who's hanging out with who. No one feels left out. So it is a conversation where everyone is being abreast of all the information. So that means communication has to be very strong. That means you are talking about a lot of things, having frequent conversations. So that's work. So you think about just being in a relationship with one person, being in a relationship with two other people, where the three of you are in a conversation. That's a lot of calling, that's a lot of text messaging, a lot of date nights, checking in. Woo! That makes me tired now. So EJ says, good question. What are some things you should tell about yourself before dating someone? What are some things you should tell about yourself before dating someone? So, great question, EJ. Here's my rule of thumb. When you first meet someone, face to face, even on your first, second, and third date, I always say, keep the conversations upbeat. Keep the conversations positive. You want to share things that you like about yourself. You want to talk about, your accomplishments, talk about your family, keep it very high level, keep it upbeat. If you hate your job, don't talk about your job. If you hate your weight, don't talk about your weight. If you hate something about yourself, don't talk about it. You really just want to be, really on the first couple dates when you're meeting someone, the conversation should be upbeat, and it really should be about you having fun with the guy. It should not be about a job interview. It shouldn't be about how much money he makes. None of that stuff really matters. It really should be about, does he have good energy? Does he like himself? Those are the positive things that you do want to talk about on your first date. I always say that. Because they want to see you in your best light. Now, for things that you want to disclose about yourself later on, I would say definitely do that. I always tell guys, you don't owe people your entire life story on the first date. I don't feel special if you tell me every single thing about yourself on your first date, because that means you give any and everybody personal information, your deep, dark secrets, first date. Make the guy work for actually getting to know some of those things. And that just takes time to do that. All right, I hope I answered that question. So thank you, Philip, for clarifying your question. He's talked about the do's and don'ts when you when you're dating someone, and he said, when is the best time to talk about sex on a date? So I will put this out there. I'm not a prude. I feel like if you're on a first date with someone and the energy is flowing, the chemistry is there, and you want to talk about sex, or hey, you want to have sex on the first date, have at it. Make it happen. I think it really depends on you as a person. There are people who cannot have casual sex because for them, sex is a very intimate thing. So if you're one of those types of folks who feel like sex should be with someone I'm either dating or in a committed relationship or I'm married to, then sex on a first date is not for you. But if you're a person who says, hey, I can handle casual sex, so first date sex is fine, then I say have at it. You really have to make sure you know who you are and if the other person can handle that as well. And I think you can figure that out on the first date. Yeah. So I see some other questions about, like, when do you disclose if you have like a mental health diagnosis, or if you have a chronic health issue, maybe like cancer, HIV, or diabetes. I feel like those are conversations, those are second and third date conversations. Those are not first date conversations. Again, I feel like if you're just first meeting someone, it really is not about giving this person your whole history about your life. You don't owe it to someone to give them your entire mental health, physical health, history on a first date, because they're strangers still to you. And would you just randomly share your personal information to a stranger? Most likely you would not do that. So I feel like that person really has to earn that type of information. So if someone wants to know about your mental health, your physical health, um, your financial wealth, or things like that, I feel like, again, those are second and third date conversations where you bring those things up. And if it's a challenge, because I think this is where the question is coming up, is if it's a challenge to talk about those conversations and you want to share that information with that person, but you're hesitant or you're afraid that if you share that information, they're going to break up with you or not want to date you, you can put some feelers out there initially on to see how that person might respond by just bringing up in conversation about like a friend who maybe had a mental health issue and just see how they react. If they react negatively, that's some information for you. Maybe they're going to react negatively when you share about your mental health diagnosis. If they react positively, maybe they're going to react positively as well. So I feel like those are ways you can do some fillers. So I am going to end this because I think I've been on here for about 40 minutes, and I said I was really only going to be in here for maybe about 30 minutes. If you do like these videos, please inbox me or like this, share it. That will let me know I should continue doing some of these live streams on Facebook. If you like conversations like this and you want to continue this one-on-one with me, I do dating coaching. So sign up on our website at betterwaytomeet.com and we can set up a time to meet. Again, thank you so much and have a good evening.